Welcome back. We're talking about getting the electoral process right. We've got two gentlemen who are going to weigh in on the nomination and screening process of electoral officers for INEC. We've got Honorable Yunusa Ahmad Abubakar. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. He is a member of the House of Representatives Committee on Aid, Loans and Debt Management, as well as Ali M. Ali sitting beside him is a publisher of People's Daily and the Deputy President, Nigeria Guild of Editors. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Well, good morning, Chamberlain. It's good to be here. Good morning, viewers.
Thank you. Honorable Abubakar, let me start with you. I know you might have heard of some of the rumblings or complaints, if you will, concerning some members who are being screened for the position of INEC. So, from your perspective, what can you tell us about how this process is going on, the screening process at the moment?
Good morning, viewers. And just like you said, the National Assembly Act has mandated it pursuant to the section of the Constitution. We have what is called the Act's Amendment. And then we have also Section 134 of the 99 Constitution. When you put these two together, they help in really serving as a guide to the National Assembly, especially the Senate chamber, which particularly is saddled with the responsibility of screening members, especially in this question, members of Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, when you look at all the guiding parameters, just like I said, and I try to join the issue of, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. When you look at that section, especially Section 134 of the Constitution, and with the members so far screened, all the lists that were submitted to fill in the vacancies of those whom their tenure is yet to expire, Mr. President, pursuant to that section, have sent the list to the National Assembly and to the Senate chamber, which was read, and a kind of a background check was conducted of them, also that pursuant to some other section that provide for that, from the DSS, some other security agencies. I mean, a kind of a background profile checking to find them whether they are appointable or not. And then out of those people that were screened, I can't remember all their names, but I know particularly there are two, one professor and the former advisor to Mr. President, it is on media, NGE, yes. Two of them, their screening were delayed for two different purposes. For the professor, there was an allegation in 2001 that need to be cleared. So they deferred his case for further legislative input in trying to round up after giving him his first right of defense. When the names were given, petitions were received in these two particular people. For the prof, they delayed it. But for NHA, also she was given the right to defend herself. All the allegations she cleared, again, the issue of being participatory, a card-carrying member, and so on and so forth. She defended herself to the convincing of the committee. But what the committee found along the petition is that at that time, there is somebody from her state or from geopolitical zone, specifically that is not yet to finish his term. And by the Federal Character Act and the section also that tried to put this in the Constitution, confirming her will tantamount to violating that section. So she was also deferred on the ground that until their quota, that person, representing them or sitting on their quota must have expired his term and is not found to be reappointable according to the Act, then they will visit her case. So far, so good. These were the results taken out.
All right. So, Mr. Ali, at the moment, do you consider the ongoing or the current screening process devoid of anomalies?
Well, I wouldn't say it's devoid of anomaly. I wouldn't say it's devoid of anomalies. For the reasons that previously Loretta was not confirmed, was rejected, because the ongoing screening is of another card-carrying member of the APC, which is which clashes with certain constitutional provisions. So, and you, at this juncture, you want to ask why all the time nominate people who are clearly partisan to be part of the electoral body. It will raise a lot of questions, a lot of skepticism about the neutrality of the Electoral Commission itself. So I would say, yes, there is some anomaly going on there. And we shouldn't be so, because there are so many qualified Nigerians from across the 6 geopolitical zones who could serve very well. And so the insistence on people who are clearly partisan, who have been found to belong to especially the ruling party, you would say, yes, that is anonymous. It raises a lot of questions, and people will be skeptical because of what had happened previously with the case of Loretta especially. And well, some people will also point at the fact that previously it was possible for card-carrying members to be part of the electoral body, but with legislation and clearly in violation of the Constitution. So yes, I think that is anonymous. There's some anomaly there. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is my understanding.
Just to be clear, I'm looking at the list of the nominations, and you say that one of them is clearly partisan. Who are you referring to?
A certain Professor Gumus, Miss Gumus, yeah, from the South, I think.
Put on good authority that his partisan is a member of a political party, the APC, in this case.
Exactly.
Right. So let me take this to Honorable. You referenced what happened with the presidential aide, and incidentally, it was quite interesting that the National Assembly did not reject her nomination as a result of the uproar about her, obvious relationship with not just the APC, but with the party in power. The president, I should say. So that was not the reason. It was based on federal character and all. But Mr. Ali thinks that this prof is also clearly partisan. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thought is, as well as a thought of every sound living Nigeria, for goodness sake, let us not just take the Constitution one part. Why can't we just afford the whole of it holistically? We have the fundamental human rights section. We have section 14 that has to guarantee the citizenry participation. When you put all these other sections together, I have the right to belong to a political party, and I have the right also to belong myself. When you take the case of Loretta, the aide, presidential aide, when she was confirmed, she said, yes, I was a carrying member, but I denounced my membership of that party, which is also pursuant to a fundamental human right. For every sound Nigeria, pursuant to Section 14, you must participate, what guarantee the citizenry participation in making a government. Politics is not a kind of a profession, when you take the definition from the advanced democracy, should be a business of everybody that is eligible from the age of 18, if you can vote, you can also be voted. Earlier on, if people talk, somebody was trying to castigate the lowest living, I mean, somebody would have been trained to a living certificate level. It's just to be literate. And why the Constitution contemplated that was because we adopted English as our constitutional language. Parliamentary, judiciary, governance is all conducted in English, despite the prevalence of our other vernaculars. But we chose English. So for somebody to be trained to that level, you have been given a larger point. And it is left for the electorate. If you feel somebody who has been educated to a living certificate level can be eloquent, fluent, excel in business, in governance, you look at his own antecedents, and you feel is the right person you can choose to govern you, so be it. Now, let me come. So the Constitution is trying to be broad-based.
Yeah, let me just read
now,
this before
if
you get to
somebody
that
is a
next point.
card-carrying member yesterday.
Yeah, just a minute. Let me read this, so you can add it to your response as well. Because what is being published, circulating out there, indicates that Ms. Gomez, there's a registration document that shows her becoming a member. She became a member of the APC on March 27, 2021, at Ward 08 in Yenagoa with membership number 58315. Are you saying this is okay to be screened and approved as an INEC commissioner?
So, good. Like I said, she could be a member of the political party until any time before the screening. But if she can come forth and say, yes, I was, and I now denounce it, there's no constitutional provision that says she cannot be considered. I can be a partisan politician, and a point decided not to be non-partisan, just to see how I can bring when the whole party's field candidate, I can be a filter, a sensitizer, a kind of an advocacy for good governance, irrespective of political party. I was from the APC before, I could denounce it. So nobody says, when I was a member of a political party, I cannot change my status quo. That's the point I want Nigerians to look at. In as much as the Constitution has provided, as long as anybody remains a card-carrying member pursuant to that section 154A, you cannot be considered to be an umpire because you cannot be a judge in your own case. But if the person denies, and we have the issue of changing, I can be a businessman, tomorrow I can be a lawyer, then from a lawyer I can metaphorically be an aviator, I can be a builder, despite my lawyer background. Nobody says if I'm a lawyer, I cannot enter into the building profession.
Okay.
It's just to satisfy the laid down criteria. So what I'm trying to say here, in essence, we in the National Assembly, we don't want to make a situation to be a watertight. Let flexibility. If she comes and says, yes, I joined so-so date with all these particulars given, and I'm not ready to renounce my membership, then she disqualifies herself.
Okay. Well, Mr. Ali, do you see any value in the arguments that has been brought forth by the Honorable? Because there are those, of course, several, across all geopolitical zones in the country, who are saying anyone who is, I mean, they completely agree with what the law says.
Yeah, I couldn't but agree with what the Constitution provides about the impropriety of having, whether they denounce their membership of, or they still card-carrying members of any political party. The perception to most people is that the insistence of having, even if they renounce their membership of any partisan group, is that there won't be a level playing field. Why? Because do you really renounce deep down? Do you really, are you capable of raising above your, well, political leaning or persuasion, even when you've clearly said you're not going to be, or you've denounced membership? So the perception out there is, a lot of people share this perception that there won't be any level playing field Why? Because if the electoral body is populated by former card-carrying members which is their right anyway, if you can decide not to be part of any political organization or party after being a member for a while. There are people who have, at a point, they say, look, we are done with partisanship. We're done with partisan politics. Former leaders, for example, Obasanjo has said that he's no longer a card-carrying member of any political party. But then you can't say the man is not deeply political. He is one of those who will determine who becomes the president. So also, if you say at a point you've decided you are no longer a partisan member of, or a card-carrying member of a political party, what about their previous relationship with the particular political party? Are you going to be neutral in everything? And wouldn't you consider your former associates as favored candidates or as favored individuals when you are confronted with a choice? So yes, ideally, yes, this is the way it should be. You denounce your membership, then you want to take up a larger, more objective responsibility. But in our climb, rarely we do that. Deep down, most of us are closeted partisan elements. We may not be card-carrying members of any political parties, but deep down we have our political sympathies, we have our political leanings, we have our political persuasions. Man by nature is being a political animal. This is an argument that has been said over and over again. So I don't see that really carrying much weight. Whether you've denounced it or you still, in the first place, you shouldn't even be there. The individuals who are known to be partisan, card-carrying members, should not be seen anywhere close to the electoral body. The idea of them being even screened, to me, is a bit disturbing. It's unsettling.
Okay.
So yes, I believe strongly that constitutional provision or what the law says about such individuals should be enforced to the latter. This is my,
Honorable, thank you, Mr. Ali. Honorable, humor me with this, with your response to this. Would you hold the same position you hold now if the person in question is a prominent member of the opposition?
Why not? If we denounce being partisanship, I still insist, because there has no any provision in the Nigerian Constitution that says if I now announce and denounce my partisanship, then I will still be considered. Even
Will
though
the person deny
his
his or her sentiments, Honorable?
You see, sentiment aside, let me tell you, how many percentage of the Nigerians' entire governance architect are politicians? Take the 36 states. Just take the governors and deputy governors. Then come to all other people are elected. Even take the state houses of assembly. What is their percentage compared to the whole civil service structure of that state? And the Constitution says all the civil servants are not supposed to be partisan. Look, when the Constitution is talking, it's talking about partisanship. But yet, those civil servants are supposed to be allegiance to the governors of the day, be it PDP or APC, ABGA. So what I'm trying to say here is that you cannot pick somebody who doesn't have interest, who doesn't have the desire, who doesn't have the audacity to clean the politics for him to become a political umpire. Somebody must have shown interest in politics, and he's trying to sanitize, not just pick somebody who is just so indolent, or a journalist who doesn't even pay tribute to anybody that governs, and then you just put him there. Can't he vote? Does it mean that if you are an INEC commissioner or you are working in INEC, you don't have the right to choose Mr. Chamberlain if he presented himself and you found him fit and stood for leadership? Where does the Constitution say that? So the issue of who I love, Ali could have impressed me with his impressive credentials. And then I am the INEC commissioner. I have the right for this one vote. I can vote for Ali, for goodness sake. Where does this say is because I'm an INEC commissioner or I am the chief executive of INEC, I cannot cast my vote? Who says if I'm a governor of APC, I cannot find somebody desirable to be in the National Assembly, senator or whatever, even if it's not from my own party, that I cannot, if I am sincere, and sincerely I am patriotic. So the key word there is patriotic. So if I now say, okay, see me now as a member of House of Reps, APC, you want to make me an INEC commissioner, I will denounce my membership of the House of Representatives, deny being partisanship, and be an umpire, so that we're in search of credible leadership, good governance.
Okay, so let me just get this right, Honorable. What does partisan mean to you? Let's first, I need to first understand. When you say someone is partisan, what does it mean to you?
Partisans means to me, as we got it and we are using it to draft law in the National Assembly or to amend laws, partisan is for you to take side. In terms of living as a Nigeria,
right.
You see, let's separate the word partisanship from participating in politics. I can be a card-carrying member, which the Constitution requires me to be, and in doing so is pursuing my constitutional right.
Okay.
In fact, it is even considered to be, to some extent, an act of not showing being patriotic if you refuse to get your PVC right.
Okay, so essentially...
meaning you have sacrificed and relinquished your right to criticize any government in power because you refuse to participate.
Okay,
now,
so let's take the case.
You want to participate. And partisan, I'm coming. Partisanship is different from being participating in political activities. But partisanship now is for me to belong to any group that get itself registered at a political party.
Okay. All right. So I've taken your definition, but let me just reiterate. Or before that, so let me ask, the case of the presidential aide, would you say she's a strong supporter of the APC, of the president, or not? Even if she's not a member?
Well, let me not per se generalize it a supporter of APC, but a supporter of the president in person.
All right.
With his credentials.
Okay.
Just like any other people have then deposed and perceived Buhari was the best man for that time.
So having agreed,
of the people, because there
so
are
having
also
agreed, Honorable,
about 2 million who said no to Buhari.
So having agreed that she's indeed a strong supporter of the president, perhaps not the party, let me now read the definition of partisan for you. It means a strong supporter of a party, a cause, or a person. In this case, a person, President Muhammadu Buhari, who is the leader of the APC in Nigeria. So we can agree, especially because there's a constitutional provision for that the person should be non-partisan, that indeed if she's a strong supporter of the president, who is the leader of the APC, then she's partisan, based on you saying she's a strong supporter of the president.
I agree, quite all right. But then that's why she said, I was a card-carrying member because I supported Buhari. But now that I am going to be saddled with a responsibility to look beyond Buhari, probably there are 1,001 Buhari elsewhere. By positioning herself as an umpire, she might discover or allow a leveling playing field for people who are more than Buhari to emerge. She now says, I denounce being partisanship. Even my support for President Buhari has been dropped.
Honorable, is this the position? Honorable, is this position you hold the position of members of the House of Representatives?
It's my personal opinion.
Do you have a percentage of people who think exactly the way you do in the House?
Well, in that case, going by our cliques, I think about more than 50% of us, we the new generation members of, though we came in just from 2011 to date, most of us are of this view because we have been experienced, we knew the problems, so we felt we should be more patriotic and then get anybody. Our partisanship goes to anybody whom we believe will add value to the Nigerian governance, will take us out of the mess we are in governance.
Okay.
But the most key word is patriotic, somebody who can sacrifice himself for the nation to move forward.
Well, what the law says in paragraph 14 of part 1 of the third schedule of the Constitution as amended by section 30, Act number 1 of 2010, it clearly stated that a member of the Independent National Electoral Commission shall be non-partisan. Didn't say patriotic. Well,
that is what we are saying. Pursuant to that section, that's what I'm deposing. Non-partisan, how do you define? Is there any time frame allotted to when you will be partisan and when not? If yes, she was or I was, and then later now I renounce because I want to be a good citizen to participate in government in any capacity I found myself.
But this is
So
they renounce because they want to get their nomination to scale through. Yeah, but this is renouncing because they want this nomination to scale through.
And the parameters governing that situation.
No,
I am now a member of the House of Assembly. I cannot be so partisan, but rather my loyalty should go in all the people that display themselves, who and who I felt can actually take us to the promised land.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Ali on this one, so just don't lose a lot more time. Mr. Ali, how do you respond to this?
Well, you see, like I said from my previous comment, the thing is there's a wide disparity between theory and practice. In theory, yes, it's possible that when you denounce membership of any organization, you will be able to be neutral. But in practice, and especially in our climate, elsewhere where you have people who are deeply partisan involved in the electoral body, they are partisan on the basis of ideology. They are either leftists or rightists, for example. But in our own climate, our differences are mostly driven by patronage. People could differ, were divided based on the amount of patronage or the influence we peddle. So the danger here is if people say they have renounced their membership, and then must they serve in the electoral body, for example? Because the electoral body, like we've been pontificating all this while, quoting the relevant constitutional provisions and then the relevant act, should be populated by people who have risen above this partisanship, who look at the nation as their constituency, not individuals. Whether they are strong supporters, what did Loretta in, especially previously, was the fact that she was seen lightly by people who are critical of the administration of the government led by Buhari. She was literally seen as an attack dog, that she took no prisoners, and she was unabashed about that. She was unrestrained. So she was known to go on endless tirade against people who are critical of the administration. Then imagine having that one in the electoral body. So it will send the wrong signals. Similarly with the one that is being screened now for a possible replacement of Loretta Onochi, why must they be in the electoral body? Agreed, that may be a violation of their fundamental human rights. But against the backdrop of the challenges facing the nation, especially the electoral umpire that is seen, even till this moment, has been partisan itself. You ask those who lost in the 2019 election that the electoral umpire was actually not as neutral as it should be. And that's why some people challenge the 2019 election in court, because there are some anomalies they detected, especially. So, but yes, in theory, yes, it's possible to have someone who had previously, they belonged previously to any partisan organization, but then they say they have renounced their membership. It's possible in theory, but in practice, how often for all, I could choose to have another profession, but for the early years I've spent in the media, it's impossible for me now. If I start another career, I would think first as a pressman, as a reporter, who would always be interested in having more than a side of the story. So that is it. That will be my influence. And I see that also if you being a member of a political party, and then suddenly you say, okay, I have risen now because I want to serve. you are renouncing or denouncing or because of certain exigencies, because of something you think in the final analysis it will be good for you personally, and that's why you are renouncing that, because there is the motive. That's the motive now, not so much because you want to serve. You could have chosen to renounce your membership or of that political party long before the opportunity to serve in the electoral body came.
All
So
right.
it's understandable if people make these reservations.
All right, Ali M. Ali, Deputy President, Nigeria Guild of Editors, and Editor-in-Chief, People's Daily, as well as Honorable Yunus Ahmed, Member, House of Representatives Committee on AIDS, Loans and Debts. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.